What up, Claytriots? It's your boy, Technically Clay, streaming from sunny, beautiful St. Louis, Missouri. How are you doing, everybody? I'm doing great. I'm feeling a little lighter today. I don't really know why. Why would I feel lighter today? Wait, where'd all my hair go? That's right, people. I got a haircut. I'm going short. I'm going back to short again. Um, I go back. I'm the kind of guy that I get like I like to get my haircuts not that often. I like to get them about every like 3 to 4 months or so. So you guys can see me go through my eras of hair. But I went to a new guy this time, and I think he did a really good job. I'm very impressed. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Since the last time you saw me, did I do anything yesterday? I don't think I did anything yesterday. I think it was like a whole lot of nothing. Probably more. It's more Slay the Spire 2. I think I'm on Ascension 8 with Ironclad. So that's going pretty good. And Stargate as per usual. We're almost done. I'm on season 7. I think there's like 11 seasons or something. So, we're getting there. We're making it through it. Eventually I'll have a new show to talk about. And then after that, oh, that's right. I did a D&D, virtual D&D campaign with my raid leader from my guild. We're almost done. I think we're like 4/5 of the way done through it. So we defeated some skeleton dude and his zombie companion. Oh, dude, it was sad though. So there were these two gargoyles, right? And my wife, she mind melded with one of the gargoyles. Her character is based off of 11 from Stranger Things, so she mind melded with one of the gargoyles, and then the gargoyle, she convinced the gargoyle to abandon his support for the bad guy and like to follow her instead. However, at the end of the battle, once the bad guy was dead, Cadrix, I think was his name, we needed to get this crystal, and it was up in the air, and it had like started like as we were defeating the enemies, like it would like it was like up there, up like 25 feet in the air, kind of spinning and stuff. It would start spinning less and less as we defeated enemies, but it was still up there spinning 25 feet in the air, like very slowly. And we all agreed that it had to be done. The gargoyle, his name was Gargles, by the way. So yeah, Gargles. And he knew what had to be done, and he sacrificed himself. He sacrificed himself for the good of the party. So poor Gargles, rest in peace, Gargles. But yeah, anyway, so that was like the main thing that happened in our campaign yesterday. Then after that, I went to sleep, woke up. Work was pretty easy today. It's my normal half day. I did work out my legs today, which is good. I gave up on my perfect month idea. I made it through one perfect week, and then this week I was just like, so much stuff was happening. I wasn't able to keep up with it. So this week I only worked out twice so far. I'm going to try to go again tomorrow just to at least make it 3 days. But yeah, workouts it's a stressful time in my life, and then let's see, after that I went and got a haircut at a place nearby. The guy was really cool. We were talking up a storm, man. He was a nerd just like me. Yeah, we were talking. He was like a huge Pokemon fan and stuff. We exchanged numbers afterwards, but like I'm planning on just going to him. I was looking for a new guy, like a new haircut person, because I used to just go to like Great Clips or wherever. But I was like, I kind of want to support like people, like more smaller like businesses and stuff. So I was like, okay, let's try a smaller, more boutique place. And it's more expensive for sure, but he did a great job. I think I really like what he did. You guys get to see how far back my fucking hairline is as well. For those unaware, my hairline, by the way, this might look like it's like receding or something, which I'm sure that it is to some extent, but I've had a very far back hairline for my like since I was a child, just generally speaking. So I think that it's probably receding a little bit, but not as much as, for those who have never seen me with short hair before. I'm just letting you know. but I think it looks pretty good. You can leave it a comment if you think it looks good, and don't leave a comment if you think it looks bad. Okay, come on, people. Negative comments. Find something better to do. Anyway, yeah. So I did that. I came back. I made a quick ramen dish, or not ramen. It was like a noodle dish, like an instant noodle dish, but it wasn't ramen. It was not in a broth or anything. And then I poured myself a glass of Japanese green tea, which I love Japanese green tea, by the way. I think it tastes so much better than just the green tea that you can get at the supermarket. But you got to go to the China stores if you want them. The like Chinese the like Chinese grocery stores or whatever. Or like any Asian grocery store really will probably have some Japanese green tea. Okay. And then I came right here to be with you, the viewer. Hello. Today we are going to go over the news. It is a casual Friday. We'll see how long I want to do serious stuff, and then maybe I'll hit up the For You page or do something more fun. But yeah, we're going to go over at least the high level stuff that has been going on. So we'll start with Fox News. We're going to watch Sean Hannity. This is just a straight up interview with our big, beautiful president. I think they're going to be talking a lot about so it says President Donald Trump joins Hannity to unpack his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. So yeah, they're going to be talking a lot about China. Hopefully we can get some info related to that meeting. As far as I know, honestly, I haven't heard of any actual trade agreements being signed from that meeting. I haven't heard of like any actual policy things happening at all. It seems like it was just posturing, generally speaking. I could be wrong on that. Maybe something has come out and I just haven't seen it. But maybe we'll figure it out in this video. So let's go ahead and watch Sean Hannity interview our big, beautiful president, and we will try to figure out what is going on with China.
All right, we continue more with President Trump. We held this interview right after his all-important meeting with President Xi as we continue from Beijing, China. If you were to take
they're in Beijing
out of this summit.
By the way, there's been a lot of Fox News coverage from China during this thing, which I'm all for, man. I think that especially like boomers and stuff, like the people who watch Fox News have a very antiquated view of China. Like, I think they honestly think that it looks like it did, like, 60 years ago, like a bunch of like peasants and stuff, like out in the fields. But like, so I think that even though I'm sure Fox News is going to try to put a bunch of spin on everything that they show people, I think that inevitably it's going to make a lot of people question their understanding of China and be like, whoa, look at how how advanced all of their cities are, and look at that high-speed rail. Man, I wish we had that. Like, I'm hoping at least that that's what some of them will think.
America, I'm sure, watched, and I'll do a side-by-side, watched the reception, and I'll do a side-by-side of the reception of then President Obama.
He doesn't respect Obama.
Oh my God.
Nobody does.
Dude, if you just get down on your knees and start sucking him off, if you're gonna do this shit, like seriously, who cares? Are you gonna talk about the amount of people that were out there waving flags for Trump rather than Obama? What the fuck is this? Like, this is just unhinged, like glazing of the president, like for no fucking reason.
He overrated, and he's a divider. Biden will go down as the worst president in history, because I think what he did on the border. So,
and how do you explain your?
I think he'll go down second worst after you, buddy.
relationship with President Xi.
Also, like, by the way, Biden. I mean, Biden sucks because he helped facilitate the genocide of the Palestinians. However, he had some good aspects in terms of his domestic policies, particularly around labor, that I'm okay with. So I probably honestly wouldn't put him at the worst of the worst of American presidents, because it's like a who's who of like who committed the most war crimes. If you go through all of our presidents, you know, like we've committed ungodly amounts of war crimes. And so Biden, while his facilitating of that genocide was horrific and should be in the Hague forever, like in the grand scheme of presidents, he's probably not. And like he maybe top 5 worst, but I don't think that I would put him even like I think, but I do think that Donald Trump is going to go down as one of the worst presidents of all time.
Border, and how worst president in history, because I think what he did on the border.
And how do you explain your relationship with President Xi? Because it seems as cordial as it can be. He doesn't seem like the warmest guy in the world on the outside.
He is. He's warm. I mean, look, he's smart. He's a very smart person. But we have a good relationship. No, he has to respect somebody. He's no games. He's not like, let's talk about how did the Yankees do last night? Okay, you know, who cares? They don't care.
Xi Jinping, he gives the exact same amount of respect to like every president. He does not care about the individual. He only cares about America's power, right? Like America is a powerful country, and so he gives them the respect that he feels another power deserves or whatever. If you look at Chinese social media, though, nobody respects Donald Trump, man. I was watching some videos about like the people from China and like the shit, like the AI slop that they're posting about Trump, and it's like him like bouncing on like hamburgers and shit, and like I think they're calling him the nation builder, like in terms of like he's building the Chinese nation into its you know, like he's doing nation building for China. Like they're making fun of him like no other, man. So I think they're even making fun of him more than like Joe Biden, like, and Joe Biden was basically dead. So like, I don't think any of them, I don't think the people of China have that much respect for you. But of course, Xi Jinping is going to like show like respect in a diplomatic, like a diplomatic meeting with the president of the world superpower. Of course, he's going to do that.
All about China. It's, you know,
but their economy's hurting. It's a consummate thing. Their economy's hurting.
I don't know. I've been hearing that about them for 40 years, that their economy's hurting. I've been hearing.
He's been watching Technically Clay. This is one of those moments where Trump does the thing that most neoliberals are unable to do, and that he peppers in little bits of truth. Like this is one of those things. Like yes, the American propaganda has been saying China is on the verge of collapse and is going to collapse any day now for 40 years, and it has never happened. And so he's just kind of like pointing that out, like, and that's one of those rare moments where it's like the rare moments that he's telling the truth that kind of tricks people into being like, oh, I guess he is like different than other politicians or whatever, even if he governs the exact same.
I'm always hearing about it. Look, we want to open it up. It's massive. And we want to get all of those companies and many more in there and make a lot of money and a lot of jobs for America. That's all. It's very simple. And I've done it better than anybody else. Our deficit's way down from what it used to be, way down with China. And this could end any deficit with China. China's been very good. China treated our presidents with great disrespect.
Well, okay. Our deficit down with China? American deficit by country by year. When was this? This is through 2021. I don't know if this helps anybody, but this is like through 2021. I think this is the amount of amount of debt owned by various countries, right? So you can see China right here has been, relatively growing the deficit. I do think that they have reduced their buying of American bonds like strategically, but I don't think that that's like a win from America's perspective. I think that that is a symptom of China realizing that America's era of like finance capital dominance is coming to an end, and they're trying to, you know, diversify their assets to some extent. So he might be somewhat right in that, like, the deficit with China, it has been going down, but it's not for the reasons you'd expect. Our deficit is still going up every year, like insanely high. Like the amount that we're borrowing from people in order to fund all of our wars abroad and stuff is still incredibly high. It's just people are starting to, like, you know, China in particular is starting to diversify away from America, at least a little bit.
Respect. You know, like, we have a lot of presidents, and I was a Reagan fan and am. I liked him. I thought he was great. Great style and everything, but he was not good on trade. We lost the car industry to Japan and Germany and others. People have liabilities and whatever, but we had some presidents that were really, really bad. They allowed our country to be just absolutely decimated. And when you look at what happened,
well, they didn't allow it. They were told to do it by America's pedo-billionaires, which he is one of, by the way. Like, he is one of the pedo-billionaires who, I mean, he probably didn't have that much influence, to be honest. Donald Trump, pre-president Donald Trump did not have that much influence with the political, like the people in political power. But the you know, the other Epstein associates or whatever, all the other billionaires, they did have a lot of influence with the president, and they were telling the president, hey, this is how we want to increase our profits. We want to move all of our labor and manufacturing to a country like China, where it is much cheaper, the labor is much cheaper, and we're able to build these things at a much larger margin so that we can make more profits. And those presidents just like were like, sure, why not? And it might not have even been like explicitly being told to do these things or whatever. I think it's just a lot of these things are just general positions and policies, all driven by the, you know, the nebulous like concept of a like growth and accumulation and like just capitalism. So a lot of those sorts of things, like unless you have an ideological person in charge, like a Bernie Sanders type or something who is there to try to like to be antagonistic against the pedo billionaires, then that sort of stuff was always going to happen. And I mean, let's be real. If Donald Trump was president back then, he would have done the exact same thing. Like, he doesn't have the will or fortitude, and he doesn't care about anything other than enriching himself. So, like, he doesn't have the will and fortitude to like go up against our pedo billionaires for sure. He would have done the exact same thing.
With Biden, when you look at what happened, the way everybody treated him, there was zero respect. Obama too. The Iran nuclear deal, it was the worst deal, one of the worst deals ever made. If I didn't go in and terminate that deal, Iran would have a nuclear weapon, and they would have used it. We wouldn't even maybe sitting here right now.
Can I ask you this, though?
But John, they would have used it. The Iran nuclear
I agree
deal.
with you.
Then if I didn't go in with the B-2 bombers 9 months ago, they would have had a nuclear weapon. And by the way, the one thing they told me, because I deal with the Iranian leaders now a little bit, they said very strongly, they said, because they said, we're getting the nuclear dust. That was a term I made up because it's sort of, you know, it's
a funny
simpler term for people to understand. It's nuclear dust, sort of dusty. But I said, we get the nuclear dust. They said, you will get it. They agreed to it, right? They agreed to it. But then they take it back, then they agree. You know, it's back and forth. I don't know. I think they have a lot of problems with the leadership. But Sean, I said, we get the nuclear dust. They said, there's only 2 countries that can get it. Who? You and China. Nobody else has the technology. I said, why do you say? He said, because when you hit that thing, the whole mountain collapsed on it. I said, so you're saying we really hit it good, didn't we? He said, there's no way that any normal country can. The only 2 countries that can go down and get that are you and.
What is he talking about, man? Grandpa, please get back on track. Okay, so he's saying the mountain collapsed in on the nuclear dust. Okay, well then the problem's solved then, right? Like, what then? Okay, who cares? Like, we don't. Then why are we at war with them? If it's impossible to access the dust, which is apparently the most important thing in the world to him. I truly do not know what he's even trying to say right now.
in China. It's very interesting.
Oh, hey,
because
Pete.
CNN was saying, well, maybe it wasn't hit that badly. It was hit. And what they did is they took a lot of credit away from those great B-2 pilots and the Tomahawk submarines. And, we had the submarines.
My cat is deciding to rub up all over my mic. I'm going to try and get him into the lab. Come on, Buster. Come on, Buster. Nope, down here. Okay. Well, I'll keep playing it while I try to get him here.
Shooting Tomahawks in there, 30 Tomahawks. We obliterated it. And before the pilots even go back, I remember CNN saying, well, maybe it wasn't hit that badly. Maybe it wasn't. They didn't even know anything, and they were saying that. The top person said to me, there's 2 countries that can get that. We can't get it even if we wanted to because we don't have the technology or the equipment. They said us and China. It's very interesting.
60% enriched uranium to be weapons grade, 90% enriched, and under 12.
Dude, I want to. Okay, Peeve, you got to stop doing that on the mic. I want to know more about China. I mean, I've heard the Iran stuff, and right now, Grandpa's just like babbling around Iran, and it's up to Hannity here, the other Grandpa in the room, to try and get him back on track. But now he's just asking more about Iran stuff. So
12 days.
Yeah.
And they were bragging to your Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff.
If I didn't go in with the B-2 bombers that week, that day, that week,
now he's clicking
they
stuff.
would right now have a nuclear bomb.
So it was that imminent.
No,
Well, I thought
it
so.
wasn't.
The intelligence.
No, it wasn't. This is stupid. No, it was not that imminent. I've talked about it a million times. The nuclear issue with Iran is a completely manufactured problem. It is not real. It is either they are days away from a nuke, because they've been saying that Iran is days away from a nuke for like 20, 30 years at this point. And so Iran is simultaneously days away from a nuke and also completely and totally obliterated at the same time. It's doublethink. It's classic doublethink. You have to like... and it's completely manufactured, and they're going to use it for whatever the political situation necessitates at the time. And the reason that they went to war was because of Israel. So they used it as an excuse so that they could go to war for the nation state of Israel. So that's what happened there.
Told you
I
so.
thought that they were very close to having a nuclear weapon, and it all emanated from those 3 sites that we hit, and we hit them good. We hit them good. And when he told me that, and he wasn't saying that as a negotiation, he was just saying, we can't get it, we'll never be able to get it. They're not, you got to move like the weight of a mountain. And it was a granite mountain. Those bombs went right down air chutes. I guarantee they'll never build an air chute again.
This is the bunker.
Think of it, at 1 o'clock in the morning with no moon, we drop bombs
Okay, for those also the Iran's nuclear stockpile is largely fine. There's been a lot of reporting on that. Most of it is in apparently people think most of it's in Isfahan or whatever, that city or wherever that is, but it's still there. Like this is just fantasy make-believe world.
Every one of those bombs went down an air chute and exploded, and the whole mountain collapsed on top of that site. And the Iranian leaders told me that
I'm going to move on to the next question up here.
You feel there's been people that have, and generals that I've spoken to, that think you have to get the dust, which is the enriched uranium, or have you been told there may be a way to entomb it that they could never get to it?
So we were thinking about doing it early on, and it would take a while. It would take a week and a half. That's a long time to be in enemy territory. No, you got to move these massive amounts of granite. It's a granite's the hardest stone. It's amazing that it's
I'm moving on again. I want to hear about China, dude.
And even despite the statement that they can't get it, they are and we know everything that's happening. If they ever moved on, and I told them that, if they send a force over there to try where I see somebody's trying, I just feel better if I got it, actually. But I think it's more for public relations than it is for anything else. The other thing we could do is bomb it again, just make it absolute. But I would feel better getting it. So, and we will get it.
Let me go back to a question that has come up before for you, and I want to get into more detail because we are in Beijing. The issue of Chinese students in our universities, more importantly in my mind, is that Chinese nationals have been buying up thousands and thousands of acres of farmland, ranch land, and land near military installations. Now, I would assume I'm in Beijing.
Hey,
if I want.
That's capitalism, baby. How dare you, Sean Hannity? How dare you question the great, beautiful ideology of capitalism? How dare you? This guy is an unpatriotic, socialist piece of shit because he hates how he hates that the capitalist system that we created, where anybody and everybody, no matter what country they're from, is allowed to buy and profit off of whatever land they want. And he wants to put up a bunch of commie regulations to stop all of these pro-capitalist, patriotic Chinese people from buying up all the land. How dare he?
Wanted to buy property near one of their military installations. I don't think President Xi.
No, they wouldn't let you. I don't look. It's not that I love it. You want to see farm prices drop. You want to see farmers lose a lot of money. Just take that out of the market. But they've.
By the way, obviously, I'm joking. So I don't particularly like foreign countries coming in and buying up American land and essentially renting it out to American citizens. I don't like that. But guess what? I also don't like when America's homegrown pedo-billionaires do the exact same thing. Like, I don't think this has to be a country-specific issue. I think that we should create some regulation that doesn't allow for giant corporations, regardless of where they're based, to buy up, monopolize all of this farmland and then sell it or rent it to like the peasants that then work it. I think that we should try to create regulations to stop that from happening, regardless of the nation that is partaking in it. That's my personal opinion. But I just like to make fun of these people by whenever they have even a modest critique of the ideology of capitalism, which is that like no regulations whatsoever, everybody can do whatever they want, free for all style. I just like to make fun of them because they're I don't know, I just think it's funny.
Had a lot of land for a long time. Obama did nothing about it. They bought a lot of it during the Obama administration. He did nothing about it. As far as the students, it's 500,000 students they come, good students. I could tell them, I don't want any students. It's a very insulting thing to say to a country. They would then immediately go out and start building universities all over China. But if you don't have those students, good students, by the way.
China does have a lot of really good universities, by the way. However, China is still, I think even to this day, I think it might be starting to change as, even Chinese, like the Chinese elites or the Chinese, like the wealthy Chinese people are starting to change their attitudes. But there is this like baked in, I think there's a very baked in attitude in a lot of countries, not just China, but a lot of Asian countries in particular, that that the West's education system or like the West's like colleges are like the cream of the crop. Like that's where we want to send them. Like if you are of that elite class, it's like also a status symbol if your kids are going to America to do their studies as opposed to going somewhere in China. Like I think there's still a little bit of a like that belief system is still there. But I do think it's starting to change because I think that China is starting to have a lot of pride in like, Chinese industry. And I think that includes their education system. So I do think that that's starting to change. Maybe one day it'll be our elites, our pedo billionaires sending little white kids over to China to get a good education and as a status symbol. Maybe someday it'll be flip-flop. That would be funny. I hope I live to see that day.
You don't, and we do another thing. You know, if they're good and they want to stay in America, we won't give them a green card and things like that. You know, and that not only them but other countries. But if you want to see a university system die, take 500,000 people out of it. And you know, the ones that won't be,
not just 500,000 people, but 500,000 of the of people who pay absurd amounts of money for their education. Like these are the people, like when Chinese like people send their kids to college, they're the people who like they send them to the tippy top colleges that they can, and they're spending, you know, $50,000 a semester or whatever, and they're also like sending them tons of money to buy stuff or what. Like it's usually very wealthy people who are doing this. So it would have a huge impact on the college system, because our college system is so financialized. Like they're essentially, our colleges are just banks basically, where people just like park their money and then people like live there and, oh yeah, I guess you can do some studies too or whatever. Like our college system is so hyper financialized that they wouldn't be able to survive without a bunch of like billionaire Chinese people sending their kids over here to go to college. But like there is like a solution that like that's not a good thing though, right? Like that doesn't mean that we shouldn't you know in some way try to change that, but the solution should be that we should definancialize education, and in my opinion just make public colleges all free, and fund them through taxes, and then if you know, if foreign citizens want to go to those public colleges, maybe they could pay like a semester fee or something to go there. I don't really know how that would work, but in terms of like we're going there through our taxes, if it's like good enough, then maybe it could just function like even immigrants and stuff could go, or like people from China could go to those public schools as well. I don't know. I haven't thought that much about it, but I do think we need to definancialize the college, like the college industrial complex.
be heard of the top schools. The top schools will do fine, but your lower schools, the ones that don't do quite as well, they'll be dying all over the place. I frankly think that it's good that people come from other countries and they learn our culture, and many of them want to stay here. I think it's good. Not everybody agrees with me, and it doesn't sound like a very...
I think it's good too. I think it's good. I like when people come and share culture, like, and I think America at its best is a hugely multicultural, like a nation of immigrants or whatever, that has a lot of variety in the various cultures that you can interact with and like learn from and build a better future together. Like I do really like that, and I would like to maintain that in some sense, but I also do like that's why I say like I want this to be solved not as like we have to, not from a nativist perspective of we have to stop all of these foreigners from coming in here and paying ungodly amounts of money to our colleges and like raising the prices for everyone else or whatever, but instead we should just publicly fund these things. And then if people can come over like and partake in our institutions of higher learning through like scholarships or whatever, like I think that would be great. That'd be great.
A conservative position, and I'm a conservative guy. I'm really a common sense guy, I think, more than a conservative.
I think
MAGA is common sense.
Sorry. I'm common sense though. No, the MAGA is not common sense. MAGA is like a death cult that wants to destroy our country. Like no, MAGA is not common sense. I am common sense. I believe in common sense everyday positions. I believe in Medicare for all. I believe everybody should be allowed to like afford health care. Like I believe that we shouldn't have people dying on the streets homeless when we have ungodly amounts of like unused units and houses in this country, right? Like those are my common sense positions. I also believe that we need to dismantle capitalism and seize the means of production, and overthrow the pedo billionaires that control our lives. Just everyday common sense positions. That's what I say.
People understand we want strong borders, we want strong military, we want good education, we want low interest rates, we want. But
I think people would argue they worry about, do they have nefarious intentions?
Sure, I know, and we worry about that. And honestly, they do things to us and we do things to them. It's a very, very fine line, the whole thing with students. So they have 500,000 students, and our university system does great. It does great. Mm-hmm. You want to screw it up, take 500,000 students out. And you're gonna see bankruptcies at the lower end of good colleges, but they're not known or whatever. You're gonna have a lot of problems. So it's something I'm always looking at. But it's a very insulting thing to tell a country, we don't want your people in our schools. I mean, it really is. Now,
that's the entire premise of your presidency. I mean, not schools, but like, we don't want your people in our country. It was literally the entire premise of your presidency. I'm curious what the average Fox News viewer, when he hears this, I mean, Trump has said this sort of stuff before when it comes to Chinese immigrants, or like, the various like, I don't know. I think that they probably don't like this, but they also, have to balance that in their head with he's dear leader and everything he says is true. So I don't know what's going on with the average MAGA dude when they hear him say stuff like this.
People say, oh, that's a terrible thing. It is a very insulting thing. And it's very interesting. It's something didn't come up today, came up last time. But I will tell you that school systems don't want that to happen, because you won't have much of a school system.
All right, Mr. President, when they look through the history books, this summit, what will people be saying 10 years from now?
Well, I think it's a very
probably what they're saying
summit.
Right now.
It's the two great.
Okay, number one, this summit isn't going to be remembered in the history books. I'm sorry, it's not. Like, they have a summit like this every year. Like, it's not going to be remembered. But if it was, it would probably be about how America has never been in such a weak position before when having a negotiation with China. Like, that's probably what the history book, like, this will be, if it's remembered at all, it will be a marked change in the global power structure and dynamics, where China is no longer just a middle power in relation to America as a global power, but China, or I wouldn't say a middle power, but like the relation in terms of like America is like here and China is down here. Right now it's going to be China and America are about like on equal footing when it comes to their ability to like impact the world and global, like, and like who has more global power, right? And then also that China is potentially starting to excel even further past America in terms of its like capabilities for like projecting its power across the world. I think that if they're going to remember this at all, which I don't think they will, that would be, I think they'll, because usually history doesn't remember individual events like this. History remembers arcs, and like like they'll remember this in correlation with like Iran. Like, Iran will be a major event, I think, in world history in the future that people are going to remember. But this will be like a footnote on the Iran portion of history, if I had to guess.
Countries, I call it the G2. This is the G2. They have G7, they had the G8. This is the G2. And I think it'll go down as a very important moment in history. And maybe more than anything else, a great moment of respect.
Mr. President,
we
appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, thanks.
What did I do? Oh, no. I got taken to some website by Fox News. Okay, that's never good. You never know where it's going to take you. You're going to end up either at at a boner pill website or something else. I don't know, something else not good, or like a do you have low testosterone, like one of those websites. But anyway, so that's that, people. You know, the middle was a little like I didn't want to. I didn't need to hear about the Iran stuff. I've heard him talk about the dust a million times, so that part was whatever. But I think we got some good information, or like not good information, but we got to see what our president thinks about his trip so far over in Beijing, and we got to see, I think, some of the changes in like coverage, both from Sean Hannity's perspective, but also changes in rhetoric from Donald Trump in terms of how he talks about China. I think to some extent, a lot of these pundits and people in power are starting to recognize that they can't just, you know, continuously saber rattle this in the same way against China as they have historically, because they it's just like everybody, the writing's on the walls. Like everybody realizes that that China is entering its, you know, century of prosperity right now, and they're the next hegemon, and we might not want to make them too mad. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to this real quick. This is from 14 hours ago. I assume that they're also doing this from China, if I had to guess. But we're gonna listen to Lil Marco talk about what he thinks about the Taiwan policies, or like America's position on Taiwan. So he looks dead inside right now on this one. It must have been a long flight. Anyway, let's go ahead and see what Lil Marco has to say.
She stressed to President Trump that the Taiwan question is the most important issue in China-U.S. relations. Talk to me about that moment when that was discussed.
Well, they certainly feel that way, and they always raise that issue, and we understand they raise that issue. From our perspective, any forced change in the status quo and the situation that's there now would be bad for both countries. One of the things the Chinese emphasize, which we agree, is strategic stability in our relationship, a constructive relationship, but also one that establishes strategic stability so that we don't have misunderstandings that could lead to broader conflict. And so we always reiterate.
This already is a backing off of the usual saber rattling that most administrations do towards China. Like you're already kind of witnessing it with a lot of the Trump administration, but I think that, yeah, I keep saying it, but I just think that people are starting to realize that it's over for America, that America isn't capable of projecting force in the same way that it used to, especially since Iran. And so the saber rattling, especially around Taiwan, the rhetoric is going to have to change a lot, I think, going forward, in order to not be as provocative towards China, because a lot of times the rhetoric from the people in charge is very provocative as a like way to potentially start building up towards conflict with China. But I think now it's starting to become apparent that like we don't want to build up towards conflict with China right now, because I think in the minds of a lot of these State Department people, they're thinking like, oh, and you know, we need some time to rebuild after this Iran misadventure, right? Like we, you know, like we don't want to go straight into China right after right after we like failed so spectacularly. I don't even know if they view it that way, but like it's obvious to anybody watching it, failed so spectacularly in Iran. And so I think that they're probably framing it in their head as like, oh, we will back off of our rhetorical saber rattling towards China for maybe like 5 years or something, like 5 years, and then we'll go back and we'll like, you know, we'll see where we are, and then maybe at that point we'll be ready for war with China. Not realizing that every single day China becomes more strong and America becomes more weak. So in 5 years, when they reevaluate it, they're going to be like, wait a second, we're even worse off than we were back then. Okay, let's give it another 5 years. In another 5 years, we'll for sure be strong enough to take on China. And then they'll wait another 5 years and they'll be like, wait a second, we're even weaker now. Like that's how it's probably going to go. I'm hoping, my hope is that it just never ends up turning into an actual hot conflict with China, because besides being like, you know, immoral and wrong, like to go to war with China for I don't know what reason we would come up with, but it would also just be like acceleration, even further acceleration of our decline, and an even harsher decline for America, which will inevitably have domestic, domestic implications as well with our populace and like the economic instability of our populace, and just political instability for sure. So like I hope that we don't go down that route, but that's probably, I think, what's going through a lot of these people's head when they're starting to backtrack off of their super hardcore saber rattling that they used to do.
The point, we hear them when they say this. We always respond by saying anything that would compel or force a change in what we have now would be problematic. And we would certainly, our policies on that have not changed. It's been pretty.
Well, that's China's policies. That's what China says. They don't want any sort of, they don't want to do a forceful reunification. They want to do a peaceful reunification. And they're saying that their policies haven't changed, but their rhetoric certainly has. Even if their policies haven't officially changed, their rhetoric definitely has changed.
Consistent across multiple presidential administrations and remains consistent now.
Did President Xi request to President Trump not to sell weapons to Taiwan?
Well, that topic has been discussed in the past. It did not feature prominently in today's discussion. We know what their position on that is already. Remember, Congress plays a role in that process as well. And we have sold them weapons in the past. That's existed as recently as December, which they were very upset about. And that's a decision the president gets to make as Congress appropriates and as Congress decides what to do with those topics. We will respond accordingly.
But nothing has changed.
I think Congress is trying to sell another arms package to Taiwan. I'll be curious if Trump actually, if he doesn't like sign it into law or doesn't like pass the bill if they do that, just based on these discussions. I do think it's clear that China, that's probably like the main goal that China is trying to get from America's current like weak position that they have. So we'll see if anything like that comes about in the future, I guess.
In the way the U.S. views the relationship with Taiwan, it will defend Taiwan, as has been.
Yeah, U.S. policy on the issue of Taiwan is unchanged as of today and as of the meeting that we had here today. It was raised. They always raise it on their side. We always make clear our position, and we move on to the other topics. We know where they stand, and I think they know where we stand.
Do you think China wants to invade Taiwan?
Well, I think China's preference is probably to have Taiwan willingly, voluntarily join them. In a perfect world, what they would want is...
Yeah, they've been saying that for decades. Like, yeah, that's what they want. They want a peaceful reunification with Taiwan. Yeah, congrats. You finally heard the words that they were saying.
Some vote or a referendum in Taiwan that agrees to fold in. I think that's what they would prefer. Ultimately, it's featured prominently in President Xi's mandate in the time he's been in office. He's made clear that what they call reunification, that's what they call it, is something that has to happen at some point. We think it would be a terrible mistake to force that through force or anything of that nature. There would be repercussions for that globally, not just from the United States. And we kind of leave it there. That sort of ambiguity is what I think.
It would be terrible, but it wouldn't be terrible in the way that I think, like, America doesn't have any cards here. America would not be capable of defending Taiwan from China. So it would be terrible in that, like, America, I'm sure, would send a bunch of weapons to China. I'm sure America would try to prolong the conflict in order to destabilize China. Like, I'm sure that, generations of men in Taiwan would, be thrown into the meat grinder, never to return again, similar to Ukraine. Like, it would be terrible. And the end result would be the same, is that Taiwan would become a part of China. So the difference, I think, in outcome would probably be that under that circumstance, then Taiwan would probably be incorporated more into the Chinese model of governance, as opposed to if they peacefully reunified. I think that they have a chance of keeping their, capitalist system, like, separate from China's, Communist Party or whatever, similar to Hong Kong. I think that if they did the peaceful way, I think they could, keep their lives relatively unchanged. But a consequence of being peacefully reunified, though, would be that America, America's influence and America's bases and stuff would have to be, bye-bye, get out of here. Like, so, there's that aspect as well, I guess.
has defined the way we characterize this issue. And the reason being strategic ambiguities. We don't want to see conflict. We don't want to see something disruptive happen.
I got to use the bathroom.
Because I think it would be very disruptive for the world and for both countries.
I know you're watching China. You don't think they're ramping up their military to do something in Taiwan?
Well, I think they're ramping up their military in general. The pace of growth in the Chinese military over the last 10 years has no precedent. None. I mean, just what they've done with their Navy alone over the last, they put billions and billions and billions of dollars in their system. So it's, you look at it, I mean, it's hard to ignore how fast and how big. So I don't think it's just limited to Taiwan. I think they have ambitions to ultimately be able to project power globally the way the U.S. does now. They're still behind us in that regard. But nonetheless, they are investing a lot of money. They are, right now, the world's second most powerful military, without a doubt.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.
President Trump is on his way home from Beijing, where he met with Chinese
President.
So I don't think it's just limited to Taiwan. I think they have ambitions to ultimately be able to project power globally the way the U.S. does now. They're not.
I just realized I was muted. Anyway, sorry. It moved on, but I wanted to go back and listen to that last bit that he was talking about. So what I was saying was, China does have the power to project globally, right? But their power to project globally, unlike America's, isn't based on like having military bases throughout the entire world, like hundreds of military bases all across the world in like every country or whatever, or having a navy that's able to go anywhere in the world within like 24 hours, like that's America's way of projecting force around the world, is military, like through military means. And China is building up their military. However, the main thing that China does that is able to project power across the world is the fact that they are the manufacturing hub of the world, that nothing can be made in the world without going through China. And if China decided to shut that off, I'm telling you, if you think it's bad right now with the Strait of Hormuz, which is 20% of oil being gone, imagine if 100% of everything that is produced is gone, like all of the little parts that go into every single piece of technology we have being gone. Literally, like everything, 90% of the stuff in your house, like not being able to be produced. Like same with like textiles and fabrics and all of that sort of stuff. Like China just builds and makes so much stuff that if they decided to turn that off for the rest of the world would collapse in like weeks. So they are able to project global force as a global superpower. And in fact, I would say that they actually can project more global force than America can with all of its military bases. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is that China is building their military up at, like, as Marco Rubio said in that clip, in a unprecedented way, at a speed that has been unheard of throughout human history. And guess what? They're spending so much less on that than America does. China's military budget is like hundreds of billions, I think, like 200 billion or something. Let's see. China military budget. $277 billion. Okay. China is spending $277 billion a year on building out its military right now, and they're able to build like hundreds of ships per year, or at least dozens. Like they're able to build crazy amounts of ships per year. They're able to build missiles and drones and everything at a rate that America couldn't even, like in its wildest dreams, be able to do, with $277 billion, whereas America spends $1.5 trillion, or that's what they're asking for at least this year, and it's unable to produce like 20 missiles per year. So yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to talk about in terms of it's already over. Like China is the global superpower, like at this point, and America is the lesser superpower. Like America still has a lot of force projection capabilities, but it's all military, and even its military capabilities are not able to keep up in terms of production with China. So yeah. Anyway, those were the last couple things I was thinking real hard about while I was dick in hand peeing. So I hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, let's see. Let's move on to this one. That's too much China stuff, man. I'm going to skip that one. We're going to move on to, let's see. I'm just going to move on to, I'm going to skip a couple. We're going to go over to Fox News now. Apparently, according to Fox News, that the blockade, we've heard Fox News talk a lot before. Okay. The blockade was the magic bullet. It was going to destroy Iran, and Iran is on the verge of economic collapse any day now, just like they have been for the past 20 years under sanctions. Just any day now, they're going to collapse. And we got another one, people. We got another piece of propaganda. We got now Iran has apparently run out of oil storage, according to Fox News, or according to Besson, I guess. So let's go and watch this video. We'll analyze it and we'll see if we buy it or not. Newsflash, I'm probably not going to buy it. We'll see. If they give me compelling evidence, then maybe I will, but I'm probably not going to buy it.
A potential tipping point in the Strait of Hormuz, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent saying Iran has run out of room to store oil. It's going to have to stop production. Lucas Tomlinson has more details from Dubai. Hello, Lucas.
Good morning, Shannon. A year ago today, President Trump arrived here in the UAE with commerce on the agenda. And now, after a month-long blockade on Iran, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says it's starting to feel the pain.
There have been no loadings in the past 3 days. We believe their storage is full. None of the ships are getting out. None are coming in, so they're not able to store oil on the water. So they're going to.
I think some are getting out. I'm pretty sure some are getting out. The Shadow Fleet stuff that's been going on in the background. A lot of people, I mean, they'll never admit it, but there has been reporting on Shadow Fleet vessels making it out and stuff. To go sell oil to China. And then not only that, I always talk about but they can still sell stuff over land routes. They can still move stuff over land routes if they have to. It's not as efficient, but they're still able to sell it that way. So
going to start shutting down.
Here's a satellite photo of Karg Island, the hub responsible for 90% of Iran's oil exports before the war. The storage tanks are currently 85% full, according to experts, up 3% in recent days. Now, shipping guru Tanker Tracker.
Where are they getting this information from? That's what I need to know. I don't know how they're getting this information.
Says, quote, Karg Island isn't maxed out of storage space. If it were, they would grab the nearest available tankers and top them up. Now, during the Beijing summit between President Trump and General Secretary Xi, about a dozen ships made it out of the Strait of Hormuz, including some from China. It also turned violent again. An Indian flag.
See, so China made it out again already. That was what I was just talking about. They're still shipping then.
During the Beijing summit between President Trump and General Secretary Xi, about a dozen ships made it out of the Strait of Hormuz, including some from China. It also turned.
So there you go. So they are still shipping oils. Then this is a nothing story. You just answered your own question. Are they going to run out of storage? No, because they're still shipping. They're still shipping oil. That's very confusing to me.
Violent again. An Indian-flagged livestock vessel was sunk off the coast of Oman. It's not clear if there was any livestock aboard, Shannon. All 14 crew members were rescued. The attack on the Indian ship took place while India was hosting a BRICS economic summit. Another ship hijacked by Iranian commandos off the coast of UAE, last seen headed to Iranian waters. Here was Iran's foreign minister speaking in Delhi.
The Strait of Hormuz is open and all vessels can pass except the vessels belonged to those countries who are in war with us, who are fighting with us.
Yeah.
Now today, officials.
I mean, yeah, and that's also assuming that you go through Iran's system for getting through. You have to coordinate with Iran to get through, and if you don't do that, then they'll probably either board your vessel or sink it if they feel like it's a threat or something. So.
In OPEC-free UAE announced plans to build a second pipeline to bypass the Strait of Hormuz and boost export capacity, doubling it by next year. Shannon?
All right, Luke.
Okay, the UAE will build second pipeline to bypass Strait. Go for it, buddy. I got news for you. Those pipelines that are working right now for like Saudi Arabia or whatever to go to the Red Sea, number one, okay, Iran could at any point activate the Houthis and be like, okay, you're not getting anything. Nobody's shipping stuff through the Red Sea. There goes another like 10-15% of oil to the market, which would be a catastrophe. Iran has held that card. They have chosen not to play that card, but they could. Number two, they could just shoot those pipelines. It's not that hard to just shoot the pipelines and, you know, destroy them. Like, so that's also like... I don't understand what good you really think this would do in like a actual conflict, like where Iran can so easily destroy this extra access to oil in multiple ways with cards that they are intentionally holding back because they don't feel like they need to play them yet. So okay, go for it, UAE. Build your second pipeline. I'm sure that'll solve all of your problems.
Lucas Tomlinson, good to see you across the planet there. Just safe travels, my friend. Thank you.
Let's bring in former CIA Chief of Station Dan Hoffman. Dan, worrying about Iran's oil storage.
Also, they didn't even tell like how they got that information of how full they are. I'm curious how they got that.
Storage capacity might seem a bit esoteric to the majority of Americans. Talk to us about why it matters and why we should care.
Well, I think first and foremost, the IRGC cares a lot about the fact that Iran can't ship their oil and that they're reaching maximum capacity at their export terminals. That denies Iran the funds that they need to carry on their military aggression overseas, to pay the IRGC and their besieged paramilitary force to suppress the population.
Yeah.
I think the key question for our intelligence community, and I can tell you this from my own experience at CIA.
When you're under a wartime economy, things like that, a lot of these things just come down to like they become internal. It's not like people, first of all, people are willing to like hunker down and like suffer for, you know, a period of time if you're defending your country from, you know, Epstein associates trying to attack it and steal your resources, right? Like you're going to be willing to like take some sort of like dip in your standard of living. But number two, the like things like GDP or like internal revenue and all that sort of stuff is a little bit irrelevant. Like you can do currency manipulations, you can do, you know, temporary things to alleviate that suffering. You can provide for people not with money, but the actual like, you know, productive like food or what like things that they need. You can use services or whatever you need to produce them. The government can do that through acquiring these things from external like people or producing them in like on their own country and then helping distribute them. Like when you enter a wartime economy, a lot of things like that are just not that important, especially when your people are largely on your side, which the people of Iran, generally speaking, are largely on the side of the IRGC insofar as they are defending them from America's pedo-billionaires.
For Director Ratcliffe at CIA is how does Iran see this challenge for them, that they can't export their oil? How does the IRGC leadership, General Vahidi, for example, does this mean that the United States has the leverage that we need to force Iran to negotiate in good faith? Those are some of the questions I think that President Trump will be asking the intelligence community.
What do you make of, you know, coming out of the...
Hey, I can save him some time. Just ask me. The answer is no. It won't change anything. Like what? But I mean, you can keep dreaming, though. The longer this goes on, the longer everybody stalls on this issue, the conflict actually getting resolved, the worse of a bargaining position America is going to be in, and the more it's going to have to capitulate to Iran in the end. So if you want to keep playing this game and pretending like everything's fine and Iran's going to collapse, sure, buddy, Iran's going to collapse any day now. In fact, just keep it up for another, another couple weeks, another month or two, another 3 or 4 months. I'm sure they will collapse any day. Another year or two, they'll collapse any day now, for sure, buddy. Keep it up. Like I said, every day that this goes on, where the global economy goes further and further down the toilet, and the oil, like there's oil shortages in all of the various like Asian countries, and there's rolling blackouts in Europe or whatever as they run out of energy. I'm sure that Trump's that Iran will just any day now they're going to collapse. It'll just keep getting America into a worse and worse bargaining position as that happens.
The trip, President Trump says that that China told him behind the scenes in these closed door meetings and the other officials there that they will commit to not sending any weapons to the regime in Iran. China has not said that publicly, which isn't surprising, but what do you make of those comments?
Well, Xi Jinping lies a lot, and he did that, you remember, back in 2015 in the Rose Garden when he told President Obama that China wouldn't militarize the South China Sea. So he'll say anything publicly. He might say that China's not providing Iran military equipment. I suppose technically that might be true. What they're giving Iran is lots of intelligence, including satellite overhead imagery that helps Iran's military in the war against the United States, as well as dual-use military equipment, engines that find their way into Iranian drones and that enhance.
Dude, who cares? They're a sovereign country. They can do what they want. Same with Iran. They're a sovereign country. They can trade with whoever the fuck they want. I don't give a shit. We also send a bunch of military equipment and stuff over to the UAE and Saudi Arabia and Israel, obviously. Like, I don't understand this argument. Like, they're a sovereign country. They can sell or trade whatever they want to whoever they want. Like, what are you gonna fucking do about it, bitch? Like, that's what I keep asking. It's like they're like mad about these things, but it's like America doesn't have the capability to stop these things from happening. So like, what's the point of even getting mad about it then? Two sovereign countries engaging in trade, and America not being able to do anything about it, then why even bring it up?
Enhances Iran's war effort. So there's no question about that. Look, China is the leader of this century's axis of dictatorships. Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea all aligned against us, both in Ukraine and in the Middle East. So China would like to see the United States bogged down in the Middle East and in the...
He's a Ukraine dead ender, it sounds like.
...war against Iran, but at the same time wants to portray an image to President Trump, especially during this summit, that China is interested in a productive relationship with the U.S. because China wants to extract as many concessions as they can from the U.S. side. And President Trump's a good negotiator, and he'll see through that.
To that point, Dan, here's President Trump talking to Sean about his broader goals for the war and why China shares his objective of never seeing Iran have a nuclear weapon.
We're helping you, and we're helping you in another way because I don't think China wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon either. I said, they're stone cold crazy. You don't need them having a nuclear weapon either.
You think he agreed?
Yeah, I think
that was the impression.
I don't think he wants to.
No. I don't think China cares one way or the other, to be honest. I don't think China cares one way or the other whether Iran has a nuclear weapon or not. That doesn't really change anything from China's perspective, I think, because like the one thing you could say is that if Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would have a nuclear umbrella to help protect them from the aggression of Israel, right? Like that might be good for China from China's perspective if Iran did that just to prevent the destabilizing efforts of America and Israel constantly, destabilizing the Middle East. Like, to some extent, I could see that idea, like they would care about it from that perspective. However, I also think that Iran already proved that it had something better than a nuclear weapon, which is complete and total control over 20% of the world's energy supplies. So they don't even really need a nuclear weapon to be able to have the deterrence capabilities, or like the deterrence from like having a nuclear weapon. So to some extent, I think that China doesn't care one way or the other. And I think that this is probably just Trump making shit up, to be honest, or misinterpreting misinterpreting Xi Jinping and like how he talks or whatever, how, you know, methodical about language the Chinese party is when it discusses things, and like just intentionally or unintentionally misinterpreting it to be what he wants to hear. It's probably something along those lines.
No, he would like to see it end. But he's been good about it, you know. Hasn't done anything hostile.
What's your response?
Well, you look, China is closely allied with Iran. 90% of Iran's oil exports, back when they were exporting oil, went to China. And China has a long-standing relationship. They recently signed a strategic partnership agreement with Iran. And flowing from that is military assistance and intelligence support. That alliance will carry on. China would like to continue to do that, but not lose the relationships they have with the Gulf states, with whom they're trying to build closer economic ties. So I think Xi Jinping is trying to play it both ways. He knows that the Gulf states don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, and that call would certainly be true for the United States. It's why we have tried to induce Iran to negotiate in good faith. But at the same time, China will carry on.
Tried and failed, by the way. He keeps mentioning that we tried to do it, but we also failed to do it. So, you know.
Try to induce Iran to negotiate in good faith. But at the same time, China will carry on this two-faced policy of assisting Iran at the same time.
All right, Dan Hoffman, President's on his way back from China right now. Thanks for jumping in and joining us with your analysis as he wraps up this trip.
Thanks, Jillian.
Okay. Well, there you go, people. I don't think that they didn't explain once to me where they got that intelligence of like Iran running out of oil storage. They didn't explain that to me at all. They didn't show me any graphs of how it's been going over time, according to whatever intel they got. I would have to. So I honestly, in terms of that part, I'm highly skeptical that that anything's going to change in terms of Iran's oil production anytime soon. If the stuff is shut off, I'm pretty sure we'll know about it. So we'll see. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to
right now.
El Nino. So this is something I haven't been keeping up with really that much. This will be the first video I watch related to it. But apparently, I mean, I'm going to have to assume that this is going to be related to climate change. There's a super El Nino. And according to this video title, it could bring chaos to the world's weather, which is not good. As somebody who doesn't want climate change to happen, I'm pretty like I hate the heat generally, and I really despise like the extremes of the weather spectrum. I like to have it, I like to have the weather go through like phases of being relatively hot or, on the other end being relatively cold. Like I like to have seasons. I don't really want to ever live in like California where there's no seasons. However, I don't like when, the weather starts getting to like 108 or whatever in St. Louis, or gets down to like -10 degrees, So I'm pretty personally concerned about climate change just from a selfish perspective of not wanting to have to deal with that shit. But also, obviously, there's the global ramifications that will come that are much more important in terms of that. So let's go ahead and watch this video. Let's see what's happening with El Nino. Also, I got to go downstairs and get some caffeine or something, so I'll be right back.
Right now, across the Pacific Ocean, something is happening that could change the world's weather. It's called El Nino, and it's a global weather phenomenon that can reshape the weather, food, and temperatures worldwide. Depending on where you are, it can mean devastating floods, extreme droughts, intense heat waves, or raging wildfires. And this year, it's looking increasingly likely it's going to be strong, really strong. I'm Simon King, a lead weather presenter and meteorologist at the BBC. So let me explain how it works and what it could mean for us. El Nino is a natural climate pattern where the tropical Pacific Ocean warms up well above normal levels. Think of the Pacific like a radiator. When it's turned on, the heat transfers into the atmosphere, boosting the global average temperature. You might have also heard of La Nina, and that's the cooler than average phase. We were just in that phase last winter, but now the tropical Pacific is warming up very quickly. And the latest data suggests we're already close to or even past the threshold for El Nino to begin. It can bring chaos to weather patterns all over the world, and it's expected to keep building, peaking in strength later this year. So how strong could it get? Well, forecasters around the world use different models to predict El Nino, and right now they're all pointing in the same direction. The Pacific is warming fast. US forecasters say that El Nino will officially form within the next.
Okay, sorry, I'm going back to here. My headphones didn't like reach that far, so I missed some of this. So I'm just going to start from here and then I'll give some commentary.
This year. So how strong could it get? Well, forecasters around the world use different models to predict El Nino, and right now they're all pointing in the same direction. The Pacific is warming fast. US forecasters say that El Nino will officially form within the next month, and by late autumn or early winter, there's a 2 in 3 chance it will become strong or even very strong. Australian forecasters have similar predictions, and European forecasters say that around half of their models show it could be one of the strongest on record. This has prompted some to call this a super, mega, or even Godzilla El Nino later this year. You'd have to go back.
They're using my terminology. I like to use the term super and mega a lot, especially back to back. Super mega El Nino. Hopefully, okay, it sounds like it might be one of the strongest, but hopefully it's not like, a world shattering El Nino, but I might have missed they were just talking about El Nino, like as a whole, it sounds like before. So let's see what they're saying.
Back over a decade to find a very strong El Nino in modern history. In 2015, 2016 and 1997, 1998, temperatures in the El Nino region of the Pacific were 2.4 degrees above average, and that's still lower than some forecasts for this year, which are suggesting the average temperature could be between 2.5 and 3 degrees warmer than usual. The strongest ever El Nino is thought to be in 1877, when the temperature was 2.7 above average, though this was a very different era when
2.7, but didn't they say that we had multiple that were that long or that high before? And this one's supposed to be higher than that, I guess.
There were much fewer observations. So what does it mean for weather? Well, this is the key. And there's one region which can be hit most directly.
Not the Midwest, not the Midwest, not the Midwest. Please.
2 El Ninos are exactly the same. And so officials say that the particular strength of an El Nino doesn't directly correlate with the strength of the impact seen. But we do know it's likely to have more of an impact to those regions around the Pacific. So flooding in northern Peru and southern Ecuador is common, but also potentially in East Africa, Central Asia, and southern portions of North America. At the same time, other regions get the opposite effect.
Okay. So the southern portion of North America. I don't live in the South, so I guess I'm somewhat insulated from the effects of this. It sounds like a lot of global South countries, though, are going to be getting impacted by this in terms of like flooding and stuff, which is sad. Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully El Nino chills out a little bit before it actually comes. But yeah, that's not good.
El Nino tends to suppress Atlantic tropical storms, which might sound like good news, but for Central America, that leads to a lot less rainfall and potentially drought conditions. There is a greater chance of drought and wildfires in parts of Australia, Indonesia, and the north of South America, which can damage agriculture and reduce global food supplies. It will depend on the eventual strength of El Nino, but scientists are already suggesting that 2027 could become the warmest year on record. So how is El Nino?
Well, every year is basically the warmest year on record nowadays. I mean, seriously, I feel like it is like almost every year we get a new warmest year on record. And I think that will probably just keep happening until we actually address climate change. And we can people. It's not like some impossible thing to do. Like there used to be a hole in the ozone layer. It was a huge deal back in the day. There's a hole that was being created in the ozone layer, and it was due to our consumption habits. And it was due to our, I think like gas and methane production or whatever. And we were able to stop it. We stopped the hole in the ozone layer. And like it fixed it, it rectified itself. The hole, it went away, and then our ozone layer was back to being basically normal at that point. And so the same thing can happen with climate change, man. If we put all of the world, put their, biggest minds and, well, not biggest, honestly, we have all the solutions we need to it already. Namely just solar power. Like we just need to electrify everything, relatively quickly. It's really not about that necessarily. It's more about like, we need to dismantle honestly, we need to dismantle the capitalist system that is, forcing like our climate to die, like in the name of super mega profits. Like if we are able to, wrestle away our system of government from being captured by pedo billionaires, then there's a chance that we could, actually fix this. If our economy was more democratically operated, like if we had more democratic methods of organizing our economy, as opposed to just being whoever has the most money has the most say on how our economy is organized, then, we could probably fix this like within 50 to 100 years, honestly. I mean, I know that sounds like a lot, right? But that's really not that long in the grand scheme of like humanity and the grand scheme of like planets and worlds and stuff or whatever. We could probably get our planet back to exactly how it would have been without climate change within like 50 to 100 years. But, that takes a real concerted, well, that's going to take a straight up overthrow of the system of government that we have created, or like the mode of production that we have created under capitalism, like international capitalism in particular. Like it'll probably take a while for us to even get rid of that, to then be able to actually make the necessary changes to try to fix it, in my personal opinion. But we can, it's still possible to fix climate change, and I think reverse climate change too. If I remember correctly, can climate change be reversed? Okay, maybe it okay, I guess maybe you can't reverse climate change. It sounds like you can only mitigate it, according to Reddit, which, I'll take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that part isn't as reversible as I was thinking it was, but we can still at least stop the worst aspects of it. But I don't know. At this point, though, God, I don't mean to be a doomer though, but like the scale, the amount of time I think it would take to like reorganize society away from capitalism, which would be a necessary precondition to solving climate change, is probably like a long time coming. Like it'll probably take a while, and then only after that can we really get down to the nitty gritty of actually like solving this problem. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I just got myself in a doomer mood though, apparently.
Affected the climate in the past. Well, the last El Nino in 2023-24 helped make 2024 the warmest year on record. And during the last very strong El Nino in 2015-2016 that I mentioned earlier, there was severe drought in parts of Africa, specifically Ethiopia and the Caribbean. Increased wildfires hit Central Asia, and there was a huge impact on food. The droughts and floods caused by that El Nino a decade ago affected the food security of more than 60 million people.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so it would eventually reverse. Like climate change would eventually reverse, but it would take a long time. So let me just pull this up while I'm reading here, because I kind of got sidetracked talking about climate change. So now this is a climate change sub. I guess it already kind of was, but the bad news is that while ending our greenhouse gas emissions could swiftly stop climate change from getting any worse, it takes far longer to reverse the warming we've already caused. For example, Sokolov cites one plan, the study model called Sky 2050, which was meant to keep the planet from warming by 1.5 degrees Celsius. Under this scenario, humans cease all climate pollution in 2030, and the average global temperature decreases right away. Yet, temperatures fall so slowly that the Earth cools by only half a degree Celsius by the end of the 21st century. And it's still half a degree above normal in the year 2300. So that's actually not as long of a time scale as I was thinking. Because I was thinking it would take like maybe like 500, 1,000 years to fall back down if they were just judging by like what I saw before. But so, you know, to go, but the climate would get better or go back to being more normal by, you know, the end of the 21st century. And it would still be half a degree above normal by the year 2300. But each of these, like, you know, as time goes on, it's just like the climate is getting more and more back to like how it was before. So while it would be a very slow process to get back to like the natural state that the Earth is in, you know, that's a little bit more hopeful. Like the Earth will rectify itself eventually, once we, you know, stop polluting so much. One thing that is always so weird to me a lot of the times is like the people who are like so anti green energy, but like weirdly super into like nuclear and stuff. Like have you met these types of people? I think like Sagar let me fix this real quick. Whoops. Okay. I can't get it. Okay, whatever. Like Sagar from Breaking Points, I think is one of these guys. I don't know if he's necessarily anti-green energy, but I think he gives me the vibe that he has been like propagandized to some extent against green energy. And I always wonder, I'm like, you understand that there is like a giant nuclear reactor in the sky called the sun, right? Like this is a free nuclear reactor that like people gave us that is like out there just to like endless amounts of energy just being pumped into the void of space that is like just like not doing anything. Like it is literally just evaporating into nothingness in space. And you could like, you know, take that energy that this big giant nuclear reactor in the sky is like pumping out and just like funnel that into energy. And it would be like endlessly, like we would have unending energy for 4 billion years or whatever, right? Like unending energy and more energy than we could ever possibly need. And I'm always so surprised. Like, it's like, I don't know. I think that that's one of those moments where I'm like, people definitely are just like, just bought into the propaganda of the like oil industry, the oil lobby, and aren't able to like just think rationally about stuff when I see people like that. But anyway, I'm getting distracted again. But I guess we learned at least that the Earth will cool back relatively, in my opinion, relatively quickly by like the year like 2300 if we like ended it, today. Back down to like almost normal, like still half a degree warm. It might take even, I think it, like temperature things, I think oftentimes are like very like exponential, like in terms of like, it'll go back down relatively quickly, but then that last half a degree might take like a really long time to get back to normal or whatever. But anyway, let's continue.
According to the UN, chocolate is one example where we could be paying more later this year and into next. After the last El Nino, chocolate got 15% more expensive because dry weather in Ghana.
Well, considering how expensive coffee beans are right now, I wouldn't be surprised if chocolate is already like 30% more expensive just due to like inflation and like trade tariffs or whatever, at least in America.
And the Ivory Coast affected the cocoa harvests. Should we be concerned then? It's not just about chocolate prices. The impact of El Nino is already being felt for some. Forest fires in Indonesia have started earlier this year, and communities there are especially worried that El Nino could intensify those wildfires, damaging homes, businesses, and agriculture. And what's happening in the Middle East affects things too. It's already putting pressure on food production and agriculture. The price of fertilizer has increased, and this will impact harvests in the coming months. So we could see reduced food supplies and higher prices. Sources have told me that there have been already lots of conversations happening to prepare for El Nino between UN agencies, international NGOs, and interagency committees. For the UK, any direct impacts on our weather from El Nino are less certain. But climate scientists at the Met Office say El Nino years can increase the risk of colder winters here. Overall, we could be looking at potentially big humanitarian impacts through this year.
Another day.
Okay. Whoops.
Right now.
Autoplayed. Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go, people. I ended up just talking mostly about climate change, but that was kind of, I guess, the point to some extent of adding this video to my this segment to my playlist. So, you know, I hope that we all learned a little something about it. And I hope I didn't get people too down in terms of like how long it'll take to, you know, fix these problems. I do think, I mean, I said it already, but I really do think reorganizing away from capitalism is a necessary precondition to actually fixing this problem. I don't think it's possible to fix this problem until we do that. And so, you know, because otherwise the billionaires and stuff, they do not care about the planet. They do not care about people. They don't even care about our species and its survival. Like, they only care about short-term profits, and they will prioritize that under all circumstances. And it is going to be more profitable in the short term to just keep, you know, accelerating consumption and climate change and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's my personal opinion on it though. So okay, let's move on. Let's have a little bit of fun. Fun, but also it is the news. Okay, so we're now going to move on to Cash Money Patel. Look at him up there. He is ready. He is ready to go. He's ready to take a shot and go shoot some shots with the NHL out on the ice. So anyway, Cash Patel has been involved in yet another scandal, people. This one is kind of wild, though. I heard somebody talking about it earlier today. I can't remember. It might have been on the Discourse or something with Brandon Sutton. I like him. I think he's a good streamer, commentator guy. But yeah, so he was watching a video about it, and like apparently Cash Patel decided to go snorkeling at the Pearl Harbor Memorial, which is just like wild. So let's go ahead and watch this video, and let's see if we can see if we think that this is as controversial as it sounds, because it sounds pretty controversial to me.
Another day, another troubling headline about FBI Director Cash Patel's use of taxpayer money. Government emails obtained by the Associated Press show Patel was allowed to snorkel at the Pearl Harbor Memorial in Hawaii last summer, one of the nation's most hallowed sites.
Can you like imagine being like snorkeling? Actually, no. Can you imagine? I'm reversing it actually. Can you imagine being at the Pearl Harbor Memorial? Let me see what this looks like real quick. Pearl Harbor Memorial. Okay. Here's what it looks like, people. We'll open up this one. Oh, okay. Well, that's not there we go. Okay, this is what it looks like, people. This is the Pearl Harbor Memorial. Now, I want you to envision that you are one of these people, okay? Let's just say you're this kid right here, and you're walking out. You just got through going through this memorial, and and you saw all of the I don't know what they have in their plaques or whatever memorializing. You think about, you know, the scourge of the Nazis and how America, you know, some of these people died in Pearl Harbor, but it drove us into the war and we ended up helping defeat the Nazis. And you're thinking heavily about that, and then you look over this rail and you look down, and then all of a sudden you see the current director of the FBI, Kash Patel, come up for air and look directly at you. And he's like, hey, just doing some snorkeling down here. What's going on? Like, you know, like this would be like a weird, like what is happening? I would feel like that's Kash is like, he's like an alligator or something just coming out of the sea, like just to like I don't know what he's doing down there, but anyway, that would be insane if that happened. And so I think that I think that this is probably rightfully a scandal, in my personal opinion. Just right off the bat, just with that visualization, I would not want to be this poor kid looking down and seeing the current director of the FBI just like come up for air with all of his scuba gear on or whatever. That seems that doesn't seem like a fun experience for that child right there.
One Marine veteran trained to check on the site put it, it's like having a bachelor party at a church. At the time, the FBI had insisted Patel was there on official business. What they didn't say was that Patel returned to Hawaii later for 2 more days, and that's when he went on that private snorkeling excursion. It is the latest in a pattern of Patel blending professional responsibilities with leisure activities on the taxpayer's dime. Joining me now is Michael Feinberg, MS Now national security and intelligence analyst and former FBI assistant special agent in charge. Michael, first, have you ever heard about anything like this before?
I have not. Actually, quite the contrary. It's drilled into special agents who make up most of the executive ranks in the FBI from their first day at the academy that they should not leverage their position with the U.S. government to accrete to themselves private benefits like this.
Yeah, but have you ever considered that that's some pussy shit? That's some pussy shit, and a real man just takes whatever they can from their position and doesn't give a shit about like things like norms or caring about the taxpayer. Come on. This is the Trump administration, baby. We are way past that.
There's a legendary story told to new recruits about something as simple as a veteran agent trying to get more meat on a deli sandwich and how inappropriate that was. That is the example used to show you what using your position to gain an out-of-line benefit looks like. What Kash Patel is alleged to have done is orders of magnitude worse than that. He not only was obtaining an outing for himself not available to the general public, but he was doing it at a place that contains the remains, the corpses of American patriots who died serving their country. It's really difficult for me to think of a more inappropriate place.
Yeah, this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, it is, but like okay. Hot take. I think that the FBI does so much worse shit than like this level of corruption or whatever. Like I think that the FBI as an institution is so terrible that like in the crimes and stuff that they do on a daily basis that they're basically unaccountable to. Like including, you know, the like all the stuff that they did with like the civil rights movement back in the past, all of their involvement in like you know, investigating like autistic teenagers who like were Muslim or whatever, and like claiming that they were a part of Al Qaeda during the war on terror or whatever. Like all of these terrible things that the FBI does is way worse. Like in their official capacity is way worse than Kash Money Patel using up some of the funds to go, you know, snorkel and like scare little children children who are walking through this memorial. Now, I don't think that this is appropriate. I'm going to be clear about that. I do think that like we should have, accountability for mismanagement of like for essentially using public funds for funding your lavish lifestyle or whatever. Like I do think that there should be accountability to that. But I think a lot of these people, I get frustrated with like all of these institutionalists who believe that the FBI was some bastion of like perfect credibility and like could never do any wrong before the tarnished hands of like Kash Patel, or the alcohol ridden hands of Kash Patel like got his hands on it or whatever. I don't know. I didn't have much of a very high opinion of the FBI to start with, and while I don't want this stuff to happen, it is, at least he's doing it in a funny way that I can make fun of. So I don't know, there's that. Silver linings.
Chosen in the entirety of the United States and its surrounding waterways to essentially get a private VIP snorkeling tour.
That Marine veteran I quoted before, who is actually trained to dive down to the USS Arizona annually to check on the condition of the wreck, also told the AP that it's inappropriate for Patel and other figures to snorkel or dive there, saying just what you said, it's hallowed ground. It needs...
Wait, so this is an actual shipwreck that like from Pearl Harbor? So he was actually snorkeling around like a monument of some sort. That seems like wrong. I do agree with that. You probably shouldn't be like, number one, this is like an actual like, well, it's an actual like almost like a museum site or something, like, so when it comes to like museums, like you're not supposed to like jump in the water and like go, like if there's like a memorial stone surrounded by like a pool of water or something, like I think it's kind of inappropriate to like go like swimming in that pool of water. Like I don't think you're really supposed to do that. So like I think I do agree that it definitely, he probably shouldn't be doing that. It also could potentially be dangerous if it's an actual ship, like if it's an actual like wrecked ship. Like there's always possibilities of like structural integrity issues and all that sort of stuff, which would have been, by the way, the funniest way for Kash Patel to die. if like he was scuba diving at or not scuba diving, snorkeling at the Pearl Harbor Memorial and it like capsized and crushed him or something. Like I mean, come on, that would be pretty hilarious. So anyway,
needs to be treated with the solemnity it deserves. At the same time, though, I think I should point out that the head of the Sons and Daughters of Pearl Harbor Survivors wrote, "I have not heard of anyone who would object to these visits, as they are very rare, and there aren't any survivors of the Arizona left alive. Their children might have some objections, but I haven't heard any." I wonder, though, given what you said about how you're trained when you're a new recruit, how you think the men and the women of the FBI see it, where their leader has done this.
The men and women of the FBI are exhausted by Patel's antics in general, to the point where they may be numb to them because they happen so fast and furious these days that they bleed into one another. But this isn't about whether an individual victim of the Pearl Harbor attacks survive, kin or issue would feel offensive at this. This is just about having a general respect for American history and the notion of sacrifice and the notion of patriotism. The site where he chose to go on a snorkeling frolic is functionally a mausoleum.
Okay, I'm also, by the way, okay. So because I'm an anti-imperialist, I do tend to have generally negative opinions about our military's antics across the world or whatever. Pearl Harbor, though, is one of the few occasions where I have no problems with the American military in that particular perspective, because number one, we were on our own territory, I mean, Hawaii, but still, like, let's, it was a United States territory or whatever. So we weren't like thousands of miles away in the Middle East somewhere. We were like straight up like on our territory, and we were not involved in the war whatsoever. And then these people were attacked by by Japan or whatever, like right out of nowhere, and they died essentially defending our territory. That is perfectly fine in my books because I'm an anti-imperialist, and my main problem is us doing all of this stuff like over there. I think it is good to have people here, like I think it is good and honorable to have people here who are defending the homeland from external forces. The problem with America's military is that 9 times out of 10 we're never in any actual danger from any of the people that we perceive as our enemies. We're really just out there destabilizing countries for the sake of empire, and in particular our pedo billionaires and the capitalist class. So this is just one of those rare circumstances, though, where I have no problems whatsoever with venerating and honoring the people who died in this particular act, and like see it as a immoral act and an unpatriotic act to go snorkeling underneath or like inside of their like memorial. I think I am fully on board with this FBI dude who is talking right now, who I am absolutely positive is not an anti-imperialist and is generally has no problems with what our American military does to brown countries like over there or whatever. Like I assure you, this guy does not care about that. However, that we are in agreement that it is that these people in particular, the people of Pearl Harbor, were patriots and obviously did not deserve what happened to them. So.
For armed service members who had no choice or say in where their bodies remain. They made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. One would hope that the respect due to that sacrifice.
Are there bodies down there too? Like what? Wait, is that what he's saying? Is this like that episode of Dexter when those people are scuba diving and they all the bodies parts start falling out or whatever? I hope they're in actually in like caskets or something if they're under there. I don't know. I don't know how this like memorial thing works or whatever.
The respect due to that sacrifice would have caused Patel to at least pause before doing this. But I think we all know by now that such reflective pauses and self-awareness are just not a part of his constitutional makeup.
Well, to be fair, he had probably had 10 shots that morning. So he probably wasn't thinking that straight. You're putting a lot of you're putting too much it's hard to make good decisions when you're 10 shots in at 10 o'clock on a Thursday morning, I think you should give him a little more credit. At least he didn't die down there.
Patel had, as you know, already sparked controversy by taking the FBI's private plane.
That'd be funny, though, if he... sorry, I keep saying it. Maybe it wouldn't be funny, but in theory, it is funny. If he did, die down there, and then his... he essentially... what's it called when you... He essentially stolen valors his way into the graves of all of these fallen veterans or whatever. He, falls down there and then just is essentially laid to rest with all of them. That would be also kind of funny. One final act of disparaging our troops as he goes out.
To see his girlfriend perform the national anthem at a Pennsylvania wrestling event. He was seen chugging beers, celebrating with the U.S. men's hockey team on a trip that was supposed to be official business. Beyond the questions about whether Patel is focused on the job, what's your sense? Do you think he can survive these questions about having a great time on the taxpayer's dime?
At the risk of sounding glib, I really hope not. Largely because I think the men and women of the FBI deserve a better leader. I think the American public deserves a better FBI director. And it's really not about one or two incidents. It's about how he approaches his appointment to director in the first place. When I was in the FBI, the good leaders were the ones who realized that their positions were not due to them as a matter of course. They were not an opportunity for them to leverage power or enrich themselves. In fact, leadership was not something that accrued a benefit to you personally at all. It was a responsibility. It was a duty. It was a burden. Your job was to be a protective.
Dude, sorry, he takes himself way too seriously. Sure, buddy, sure. I don't know. I think that there was corruption at the FBI long before Kash Patel got there, but regardless, yes, I agree that he is not in the eyes of liberals and institutionalists or whatever, he is not up to the task. And you want to know why? Because he was a fucking podcaster before. He was a podcaster. Like, of course he's not. Like, of course he's not up to be the head of the FBI. He didn't earn that in any way. He's not like Comey, who, you know, who is probably our most badass FBI director for taking that picture of those seashells indicating he wanted to kill the president. that was probably the best moment of any FBI director in all of history from my perspective. I thought that was awesome.
Shield to stop outside forces, externalities, extraneous details from stopping your team from doing their mission. The problem is Patel's antics, his hijinks, his inability to stay out of negative press stories is the very thing that is now hindering the organization. If he had any dignity and respect for the country as a whole, he would realize that the reputation he has earned is harming the Bureau, and for the good of the workforce, he would step away.
Well, like I said, that's some pussy shit. You gotta get your bag, man. In Trump's America, you gotta get your bag, no matter what it takes. And Kash Patel, he is out there getting his bag, and the rest of us are left holding it, I guess, or whatever. Is that the phrase? I forgot. I think that's the phrase, but yeah. We're all we're gonna be the people who are holding the bag. I think now, guys, I'm gonna skip the Rogansphere propaganda slop. One sec, someone just rang my doorbell. Just want to make sure it's not something important. It's just okay. No, it's just a delivery. Okay. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna skip the Rogansphere drama slop. And I'm just gonna move on to X.com. So let's go over to X. Actually, before I start this, I'm just gonna go use the restroom one more time, and then we can get going. One sec. Okay, I'm back. I'm back, people. Don't worry. Don't worry. Stop worrying. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's see what we got on X.com, the everything app. Everybody's favorite everything app. Okay. What's this? Breaking, U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro announces a major crackdown on parents who let their children take part in teen takeovers that have been causing chaos throughout Washington, D.C. Pirro vows to prosecute parents who fail to supervise their children, threaten the adults with fines and even jail time. If the evidence shows the parent knew or should have known or permitted or failed to prevent participation, we're going to charge them. Okay, this is wild, by the way. I covered teen takeovers. If people want to go look up on my YouTube channel, I covered teen takeovers. And it was the most classic Fox News bullshit story that is not a real story that I have ever seen. And the fact that they are like the Attorney General of the United States is saying they're going to prosecute the parents of these teen takeovers. By the way, it was incredibly racist. It's like racist agitprop, by the way. If you look at the videos that Fox News was throwing up, like the B-roll that they were showing of these teen takeovers, it was like all black people, basically. And so, yeah, this is kind of this is kind of crazy to me. Also, it's funny that they're like so willing to go after the parents of these kids, but they're not willing to like go after the parents of like the kids like who like get their parents guns and go shoot up schools and stuff. Like they don't really give a shit about that. But teen takeovers, they're taken real seriously. Let's go ahead and see what attorney I think Attorney General, right? A U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro has to say about it.
And as we grapple with this problem, there is one area that hasn't been discussed. Parental involvement has been a noted gap in any discussion. And I am here to say, as the United States Attorney...
By the way, has anyone ever actually seen one of these teen takeovers in person? I'm curious because I have not. I've never seen it in real life. I've just seen the B-roll of black people like hanging out at the mall or whatever, which is what they usually show whenever they're talking about these teen takeovers. So also teen takeover is like it's one of two things. It's both at the same time, I guess. It is the most boomer ass title or like a name of something that has ever existed. Like it is clearly the hysterics of old people that cause them to do this. If you have the title, you call it the name of some activity teen takeovers, you know that is like that a boomer, somebody over the age of 65 made that title or like named that thing. But then also it sounds like a Nickelodeon like segment, like, you know, back in the day where they had like Nick at Night. It would be like if you know, when they're transitioning like in the day from cartoons for children to like their older content, they would like have like a splash cut like teen takeovers, time for the teens to take over, go to bed kids, like that sort of stuff. Like that's the other thing it makes me think of.
In the District of Columbia, that ends today. Starting today, my office will aggressively prosecute parents under DC's curfew law, and the specific statute that we will use is a violation of DC Code 22-811. And it involves contributing to the delinquency of a minor. This statute makes it unlawful for an adult to enable, facilitate, or permit a minor to engage in delinquent acts. The penalty is up to 6 months imprisonment. So if the evidence shows the parent knew, or should have known, or permitted, or failed to prevent participation, we're going to charge them. And if you drop your kid off and you fail to supervise them or you let them skip school to join the chaos, you are going to face fines. Okay, over under, maybe Kalshi has some predictions on this. How many white people do we think are going to get charged with this? Like how many white parents? I'm gonna guess 0. I will guess that there will be 0. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think they're gonna do. I think this is just like propaganda. I don't think that they are actually gonna charge really anybody with this, to be honest. But they're certainly not gonna charge any white people with this. And even if they do, I always like to bring this up.
Judge Janine Pirro has won 4 out of 8 criminal trials so far since she's been the U.S. attorney. So she's at a 50% success rate, while normally the U.S. attorney is at a 90% success rate. AKA, she's probably not going to win any of these cases either. So, but best of luck to her. I hope that this totally real problem of teen takeovers gets totally solved for real. And you know, you capture all of the parents who allow their kids to, I guess, go out at night and take over things, whatever, you know, whatever that means. Also, I think the news cycle of teen takeovers is already out. I haven't seen any Fox News hysterics about teen takeovers in like a couple weeks at least. So I think she's just a little, you know, she's also a little slow, a little behind the times. But anyway, that's my thoughts on teen takeovers. Uh-oh. Trump. Last thing we need right now is a war. And then this picture is cursed, dude. This is gonna haunt my dreams tonight. I don't need that. Actually, guys, this is the picture. This is the picture that I took to my haircut person. I said, give me this. Give me this. This is what I want. And I think they nailed it, to be honest. Let me see. Can I scale myself up real quick? Look. Can you tell? I think he nailed it. I think he nailed it. Okay, let me see if I can. This is always a dangerous game when I decide to mess with my UX like in the middle of a stream. I guess it's a little smaller usually. Okay, that seems about right. Okay, anyway, that's a cursed image. Let's move past it. What is this? Look at this fit, dude. And the mutton chops. I'm just flabbergasted right now. This is a statement. I'm gonna be honest, I don't dislike it. I mean, I do dislike it, but it caught me off guard so much that I'm like, maybe I like it actually. Let's go ahead and watch whatever this is. The Daily Show has its Hassan Piker moment as it promotes a new film by self-described communist Boots Riley about shoplifting that Jordan Klepper describes as Pee-wee's Big Adventure if it was directed by Karl Marx with a bunch of Molly in the background. That's a funny description. Let's go.
For people who haven't seen this, what is I Love Boosters?
Well, boosters are folks that shoplift and sell at a discount price. So it's something that, as a broke rapper for many decades, I've definitely had to have around me in order to stay fly, because staying fly is part of the job requirement.
Yeah.
You know, and so I wanted to write about stuff from the perspective of these folks that kind of hold the community together, right? We have, you know, fashion is the big fashion houses are inspired by stuff from the street, by black communities, by people of color, things like that. But those communities can't afford it, right? So this was a way to talk about fashion that I hadn't seen talked about before.
It talks about fashion. I mean, this movie.
I think I saw a preview for this movie, and I think I remember being a little bit confused about it when I saw the preview. But I think it's a bunch of girls, if I remember correctly, who steal, they steal clothes from big box stores, and then they essentially sell it on the street. But I think usually they like repackage it, repurpose it, like cut it up or like make it into something new, and then sell it on the street as like streetwear, you know, for black people or whoever is willing to come buy it from them. And I guess that's what he's talking about when he says boosters. So I don't know. I remember seeing a preview for that. Maybe I'll check it out. I didn't know that the guy who made it was a communist.
The movie talks about fashion, talks about capitalism. It's super funny. This feels like sort of a Pee-wee's Big Adventure, as if it were directed by Karl Marx, with a bunch of Molly in the background,
with Looney Tunes.
Yeah, I mean it sounds interesting. Anyway, so this guy said the Daily Show has its Hassan Piker moment, talking about stealing as a form of, anti-capitalist action, I guess. And Hassan says, "Are you stupid? That's Boots Riley. He was a communist before I was fucking born. LMAO. Have some respect for a legend." So I'm gonna be honest. I don't know who. I don't know Boots Riley. I'm still relatively new to the. Hey. Sorry, my cats were yelling at each other. I just haven't read a lot about the major players in like communism and socialism or whatever. So I'm learning here. Okay. Mayor Zoran, I am outraged that a swastika flag was raised overlooking Washington Square Park. This hateful anti-Semitic act was meant to spread fear among and intimidate Jewish New Yorkers. It has no place in our city. Our administration is committed to fighting anti-Semitism in all its forms and protecting the safety of Jewish New Yorkers. The NYPD Hate Crime Task Force is investigating this despicable act, and I am confident those responsible will be held accountable. Obviously that is an anti-Semitic act. Like swastikas and shit are always anti-Semitic. The one thing that I would question, though, and we'll see what happens, is whether it's going to be one of two things. It'll either be a far right like neo-Nazi, and there's a big or. It's going to be some Zionist who's trying to drum up fear about about anti-Semitism or whatever. Now, I'm leaning towards this probably being just a far right like neo-Nazi dude who did this. Primarily because usually when Zionists try to do like their, try to do like fake instances of anti-Semitism, usually they make it's a lot more apparent, and like they'll usually somehow tie it back to like a Palestinian phrase or something, like from the river to the sea, blah blah blah, like something like they'll try like doing something like that if they're trying to make it up. So I'm leaning towards this one being a real one. We'll hopefully see more as the NYPD Hate Crime Task Force investigates it. So what's this? I led hundreds of Jews in protest outside NY Times HQ today to shame them for repeatedly spreading blood libels against the Jewish people and only Jewish state. Enough is enough. Oh God, these people, man. Yeah, they're really mad at the New York Times for finally reporting on this thing that everybody already knew, and that Israelis like systematically rape and abuse their Palestinian prisoners. Everybody already knew that. Anybody who read articles and stuff already knew that they were doing that en masse in the concentration camps in Israel, where they hold all of these Palestinians. So this sort of stuff, by the way, I don't think is going to work. Like these losers going out there and trying to protest against the New York Times, who has been, ungodly sympathetic and like on the side of Israel throughout the entire conflict. Do people not remember like all of the the babies in ovens shit that the New York Times reported on at the beginning, or like the screams without words shit, which we still haven't seen a single person come forward and claim like, that it happened to them or whatever, like that was like picked apart and like dismantled in its entirety, and is like basically for all intents and purposes like was essentially pulled from publication because of all of the methodological errors and like problems that occurred with that article. Like the New York Times did everything they possibly could to perpetuate the genocide of the Palestinians. And these people are so butthurt about them reporting something, like I said, that everybody already knew they were doing. Anybody who was tapped in knew they were doing. Now, a lot of the libs and like the people who aren't as tapped into like real news, or like live in a bubble that doesn't allow them to get real news, they were not aware of this, and to some extent maybe some of them will learn about it, but but I don't think this is going to work because everybody already hates Israel and everybody already knows that Israel knows that Israel would be capable of doing this at the very least. But most people, would probably already assumed Israel was doing this. So this just looks like a bunch of unhinged people trying to protect rapists. Like that's what it looks like to the average person. The average person sees all of these people outside of the New York Times office protesting that they reported accurately about Israel's systematic abuses against the Palestinians, and they're just going to think that you're just a bunch of like people who defend rapists. Like it doesn't look good. Like, am I wrong? I'm just going to say, seriously, it doesn't look good to the average American to see a bunch of people go out and protest for the right to rape Palestinians, especially Thai. How do you tying it? Here, wait, seriously, it doesn't look good. Or seriously, it doesn't look here, I'll just say to go out and protest the New York Times for reporting on. Also, they're just boosting it super hard when they do this as well, because a lot of people may not have known about it until these people went out here and did this. But reporting on the systematic SA that occurs in against that everybody already either knew or assumed was happening. There you go. Yeah. You all look like psychos, psychotic rapist defenders. We'll just shorten this a little. There you go. Okay. Let's see. Let's move on. What is this? Nate Bluen. It was great to talk to Hassan's show today. Proud to say I think I passed the test. Let's see.
Rapid fire.
I'll determine if he passed the test.
Round. I'm going to ask you.
This audio is fucked.
Medicare for all.
Yes.
Universal child care.
Yeah.
Abolishing and prosecuting ICE.
Yep.
Abolishing private prisons.
Absolutely.
Raising taxes on billionaires.
Absolutely.
Raising the minimum wage.
Yep.
Banning the predatory student loans.
Yep.
Implementing the green.
These are all easy ones. Give him a hard one, okay, Hassan?
Yep. Ending Citizens United.
Yep.
Banning congressional stock trading.
Yep.
I say these are all easy, but 90% of Democrats would have a hard time answering these questions, honestly.
Ending America's war on Iran.
And these are easy. Yep.
Ending America's embargo on Cuba.
Yep.
Ending aid to Israel.
Yep.
A free Palestine.
Of course.
Okay.
There you go. That was pretty quick. Rapid fire. I like it. I'll give it a like. Sure. Who's this guy? Nate Bluen. Nate for Utah. I guess CD1 is the district. If you live there, check him out. Maya did a TED Talk for Alveus Sanctuary. In terms of like animal content, that's one of the few things that I watch. Is I watch her stuff. It's really just because like she's in the like the, I don't know, the Fear and extended universe, I guess. Like she's one of the people, or like I guess the Hassan extended universe, to be quite honest, where she's one of the people, the non-politics people who goes on his show and stuff. So let's watch a clip from it. We'll see how we think she did in this clip.
But before social media, TV programming was establishing the best examples of conservationists, right? Heroes like Steve Irwin and David Attenborough and Jane Goodall. These are obviously some of my personal heroes, probably some of yours as well, as they should be. These guys rock, right? But for most of us, it can be really hard to see ourselves in such legends. It leaves us feeling like that work is just a far-off dream that only other people achieve. But at Alveus, that dream doesn't feel so far off. For our viewers, Alveus is a dream.
Okay. It was great. I mean, she's doing great with her speech right here. This one particular frame, though, looks like a hostage video. I'm not blaming it on her. I'm blaming it on the camera angle. I'm blaming it on the like the switch from like, well, I guess it was like, okay, so it was still a TikTok style like vertical. But the switch to just the straight to camera look, it does look like a hostage video when she goes into that part.
Other people achieve. But at Alveus, that dream doesn't feel so far off.
Like, is there a gun off screen? Look at her. Am I wrong, dude? Why does it look like she's so... Why does it look like she is like being threatened with death if she doesn't like adequately explain like why her methods for protecting animal conservation, like like in the age of social media or whatever, if she doesn't adequately explain it, like they're holding a gun to like one of her like animals off screen, like that like lemur or something, like they're holding a gun to it, be like, if you don't properly emote right now and tell people this, we're gonna kill this lemur. Sorry, one more time.
But at Alveus, that dream doesn't feel so far off. For our viewers, Alveus is a dream that one of them achieved from within a space that they're already a part of. And they get to be a part of it all live. But before social media...
all of it was perfectly fine, except that one shot. That one shot, the head-on shot is, yeah. Anyway, but still great. Ted highlight, Maya's not just a great human being, but a stunningly good communicator. Could almost give you hope. Yeah, she is a good communicator. I mean, she does it for a living. She streams like, so she's clearly, I guess it's different being in front of a live audience or whatever. But yeah, she is a good communicator. And I'm just having some fun. Okay. She did a great job. That was just, it was just very funny to me, very jarring when it happened. Okay. USA funeral plates being sold at Walmart. This is a classic mistake. When you're putting a date range on something, you need to put 1776 to present, because that way it doesn't go out of date. If you put 1776 to 2026, it obviously looks like America died in 2026. So that's pretty funny though. Anonymous, sometimes like honestly they're a little bit annoying, but that was a good one. That was a good meme. The next good one, by the way, that I find, I'm probably gonna head out of here. So let me see what I can find. Tom Morella's new single, Adjourn It. System of a Down, dude. Oh man, System of a Down. That's a classic, man. Okay. The Mr. Egg says, admit it. You assumed that Dr. Pepper was a man. You didn't even consider that Dr. Pepper could be a woman. That's great, man. That's great. That's some girl boss feminism. I love it. I'll give that a like. That got me laughing. Okay. BB No Money says, who should I collab with next? I'll say me. You probably, I don't think that's gonna happen, people. Okay. Rolling Stone reports that Kanye West's upcoming Georgia concert is being produced by Live Nation Israel. Wow, what a surprise. Israel doesn't give a shit about anti-Semitism. Like, yeah, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Israel, their main export is anti-Semitism. They love anti-Semitism. It's their favorite thing. Because guess what? When people are anti-Semitic abroad, it like forces Jews to flee wherever they're living abroad and come to Israel. Like, that's part of their goal with like the nation state of Israel. So yeah, of course they're going to work with anti-Semites like Kanye West. Like, yeah. As long as he doesn't say something like pro-Palestinian, they're going to be perfectly fine with Kanye West. Okay, Elon Musk. Who specifically is the asshole who added DEI lies to Academy Awards eligibility instead of it just being about making the best movie? Yeah, sure, bro. Keep crying about DEI, man. Everybody loves that. Okay. How do you, this thing says, how do you grow up listening to punk and hip hop and still end up a bootlicker? Yeah, that's a lot of people like, it's a lot of people love the aesthetic of like radical politics or whatever. Like for instance, like punk and hip hop, and like that scene was very like, you know, like punk in particular had a complex history, but it ended up in the end becoming a, you know, left, like a radical, like generally speaking, radical left like genre of music, like anti-establishment, you know, communal generally, you know, aka commune, aka communism. But yeah, and like hip hop is obviously, you know, was built up through the expression of black people, you know, resisting the apartheid structures that we've created in America, in order, like the systems of oppression to like keep them, you know, keep them down or whatever. So, but Americans are, I don't know. The capability of the average American to just turn their brain off and not understand anything that they are consuming, like any art at all, like our artistic literacy, like able to understand and interpret art in America is so disgustingly low. It's insane. Okay, I got to find something and get out of here because I think my wife is about to start doing something for Palia. So, let's see. Last thing. Oh my God, this is some millennial ass shit right here. By the way, millennial ass shit of like, oh, I did this when I was older, or I did this when I was younger. I did this when I was younger. You people don't understand. I mean, I guess it's not millennial. It's just like old ass. Like this is old ass shit. This is old person shit. And I refuse. I refuse to engage in it. Okay, come on. Van Goleven. Hey, I mean, he's looking good. I mean, you know, like he said, a little puffy, but he's definitely got the muscle mass. Okay, let's find something. Come on, people. If I fell in the water, would you help me? No. I probably, I don't know. If he fell in the water, I think my honest instinct would be like, yeah, I probably would. If he was drowning, I think I probably would. I don't know if I could just let him drown. Maybe I could, but if I was there and I had the capability, I would probably save him. But I would condition my saving of him to if I will go out there and I would yell at him, I would be like, unless you agree to dismantle capitalism, to seize the means of production and destroy the capitalist system, I'm not going to save you. That's what I would say. Little does he know, I probably wouldn't let him die either way because I'm, you know, too nice of a person, I guess. Okay. Come on. Come on. Something funny. Timu, that's not funny. Okay, come on. God damn it. Ugh. Suicidal empathy, aka being empathetic to your friends is a bad thing now, people. We must all be as evil as possible to our friends, or like to our neighbors, and somehow that will make society better. Here, I'll just say, I'll start my journey of learning to not have empathy right now. Go yourself, Elon. Okay. I'm a shit poster now, apparently. Okay, guys. I'm just gonna call it with that one, I think. There you go. You got a little me shit posting on the internet. That could be funny too. Okay. Well, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I thought it was a great, wonderful stream. I thought it was the best stream I've ever had. And you know what? I think tomorrow's stream will be even better. By the way, tomorrow I'm planning on just doing a gaming stream. I don't really want to, I've been deciding that I think I want to just do like one pure gaming stream a week. So it'll probably be an early morning one, but I'm planning on playing some Slay the Spire. So if you want to check that out, feel free to stop by. Thank you all for watching. If you're watching the VOD, love you too. And that is all. This has been Technically Clay with a new haircut. And the stream is technically over. Bye-bye.